Hey everybody, thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome. I'm going to start this video off just by talking about my channel. This is a new series that I'm going to be doing on this channel. I want to get more into storytime videos. They're the videos that I have the most fun making. I've made a bunch that are all private, and it's just really where I see my channel going, and it's what I want to do. So to start off, I want to start off with with kind of a banger, I guess. I hate that word, but just a really good story that happened semi recently. So yeah, let's get right into it. Hey, your lipstick stain still on my gold chain. It's rushing through my vein. It's driving me insane. I'm in a different lane, but I still feel pain. Drew the cocaine and I need Novocaine, something to numb my pain. All this shit going on. Okay, so I work at a grocery store and it's not super big, but it's big enough that we get a lot of foot traffic, especially with the whole COVID-19 global pandemic. It's been super busy. So working at a grocery store, you run into a lot of different groups of people, and there isn't really a clientele because everybody has to go to a grocery store. That means you run into a lot of different groups of people, one of those groups being Karens. Now, we all know about the masks and how it's mandatory to wear them in most public places, which is fair. However, in the town I live in, it gets really hot during the summer, and employees are only required to wear masks in the building, as when you're outside getting carts or walking to the break areas, it's really hot and masks make it even hotter. And it's easier to maintain a safe distance from people when you're outside too, so that's kind of why they didn't do it. But one Karen didn't find that to be the case and got really, really upset. Okay, so now that the backstory is kind of covered, let's get into the story. So one day while I was at work, it was a particularly hot day, and me and my coworker, let's call him Mike, were getting carts together. And after a while, a man comes up to us and asked if we were required to wear masks outside. And Mike and I both told him we were not, and he proceeded to tell us we should take them off while it's outside because it's really hot and it's not good for us to be breathing in them. I don't know. I didn't really think much of it. I thought he was just trying to be nice. So Mike decided that it was hot enough to pull his mask down, and not 15 minutes later, the most Karen-looking Karen, full, like bob cut, tight, like blazer kind of suit on, bag, and the biggest mask that just screamed. I don't know. It just screamed like I'm in love with the mask, kind of. So, she walks right up to Mike and looks at him and says in that Karen accent, "You're in public. Don't you find it a little rude not to wear your mask?" Mind you, she walked up to Mike, not the other way around. She closed that safe distance between them. So Mike tells her employees are not required to wear masks outside and that he will try to keep a safer distance from others. But that wasn't enough, even though for me, like, that's more than I would have done. I would have been like, no, sorry, I'm not required to wear my mask outside. Sorry about it. Um, but so he goes and says that he's gonna try and keep a safe distance. It wasn't enough, but it wasn't really enough for her. And she proceeded to take a step back and go, "You think 6 feet will keep you safe from this virus?" And Mike proceeds to be like, "Yeah, well, that's what they've been saying." And she goes, "Oh, well, will 6 feet keep you safe from this?" And pulls out a can of pepper spray and just hoses Mike down, literally head to toe covered in pepper spray. And obviously, Mike falls down and is yelling, and because he just got maced. And a couple of managers hear Mike yelling and come outside to see what happened, and they see Mike on the ground. And this Karen posted up acting like she is a god and that she's just keeping the world safe. So my managers come up, they figure out what happened because Mike is screaming and his eyes are covered in pepper spray, so they're bright red. It's all red around his eyes, and he's all tearing up, trying to rub his eyes, but they keep telling him not to. So one of the managers goes up to the Karen and asks her what happened, and she's like, "Well, this young man wasn't wearing his mask, so I had to show him the importance of wearing his mask." And the manager kind of looks at her and goes, "Well, pepper spray and wearing a mask wouldn't keep him safe from pepper spray." And the Karen's like, "Like, yeah, no, it would, blah, blah, blah." And so the manager tells her that she has to come with her, and she's like, "I'm not coming with you. You don't own me." All entitled, you know. Um, so basically, she tells him that she's not coming with him, and the manager is kind of upset, and he goes, "Listen, you're coming with me, and I'm calling the cops." The second he threatens to call the police, this Karen books it to her car, and meanwhile, Mike is still on the ground, just bawling with pepper spray. And I'm just kind of standing there watching all this go down, and I'm like, oh, well, this is interesting. This is something you don't see every day. So she gets to her car and drives off, and most of the managers are just kind of astonished. Like, you don't really know what just happened. Like, you see this young, probably 16, 17-year-old kid on the ground, pepper sprayed, and then this grown lady running to her car, trying to get away from him. And so basically, she gets in her car, drives away, and we don't hear anything about it for about a week. Mike has to go to the hospital, get his eyes flushed out, and the cops came. He's talking to the cops, basically tells them everything that happens, that he just got pepper sprayed by some lady because he wasn't wearing his mask outside, after she walked up to him and told him that he needed to keep a safer distance, pretty much. So after she told him that he needed to keep a safer distance from her, after she walked up to him, the cops are kind of like, wow, this is crazy. Like, we haven't heard of this happening before, really. And because the town I live in is small. So stuff like this, okay, listen, there's not a lot to do in my town. So a lot of the kids get up to mission. It's how I have the stories that I want to tell to you guys, is because there's not a lot to do in my town. So me and my friends just did stupid stuff all the time. But so basically, the cops are talking to him. He tells them the story, and they're like, okay, well, we're gonna try and keep an eye out for her, get a description of her. And after a little bit of time, we don't really hear anything. Works pretty normal. You deal with normal crazy people coming in. And about probably a week, 2 weeks go by, and all of a sudden my manager comes in, and he's like, hey, I think they found the lady that pepper sprayed Mike. And Mike is ecstatic. He is so happy. He's like, oh, this lady's gonna actually kind of get what she deserves, which I don't know. I like she definitely deserves to be punished for what she did, because it's messed up to do to somebody. But also, I mean, he's fine now. We've talked about it, and he said he's fine. And so, I don't know. At the time, he was more mad than he is now, which honestly, I would still be mad. I'd be pissed. I hope that lady goes to jail, is what I was kind of thinking during this. Like, I don't know. He's more on the mellow side. He doesn't really care what happens, but he was happy that she was going to get caught. So basically, we are talking, and Mike asks her, well, Mike asked my manager, hey, like, how did she get caught? And he proceeds to tell us that she had been bragging about it to her neighbors. She had been going to those little home, like, HOA meetings, and just talking about how she pepper sprayed some little kid. Which, one, how is that cool? How are people cool with that happening? I don't understand that. Like, because only one of them called the police and told them that, hey, like, this is the girl you're looking for. Which, I get it. People don't want to be snitches, but I mean, that's something that you would tell somebody about. If they're looking for somebody who did something like that to a kid, yeah, you would tell them. But so she had been bragging about it, and it had been going on for quite a while that she had been bragging about it, like 2 weeks, like nonstop. She had been bragging. And eventually, one of the people calls the police, tells the police, and then the police come down and basically arrest her. And now she has to go to court for assault, which, yeah, I mean, normal Tuesday. But thank you guys. That's it for the story. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. If you made it to the end, please be sure to drop a like, and I would really appreciate it. I'm super stoked. I really am excited to keep making videos, and I'm going to be trying to upload for at least 90 days in a row. I don't know if we'll hit it, but that's the goal. And yeah, so this is Ziffity, and I will see you guys tomorrow.